Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Dandoublechen show. It's Mike.
It's Dan.
And we have a lot of guests today. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you for having us.
We have Grace.
Christine.
Who are you? Guy?
I've never met this girl before.
Yeah. She's kind of like...
Some random chick that people from the street.
She always wants to be in our videos, and we're like,
why you like that? Why you like
I'm
that?
obsessed. Obviously, I'm a stalker.
There's a reason we have a bunch of people with us today. And the reason is today we're going to talk a lot about cultural differences between Chinese and Koreans, which Grace and Christine are. In particular, today we are talking about stereotypes. This is something I'm really interested in because I don't know what they're going to tell me. Because we asked them on the show and we asked them to think about stereotypes that people have usually against Koreans. Because we talk a lot about stereotypes people have generally against Chinese people.
right.
So we're interested to hear what stereotypes people have against Koreans. Also, we want to know what stereotypes Koreans have against Chinese people,
Right.
or about Chinese people, and we'll tell you about some stereotypes Chinese people have about Koreans. It's a fair trade.
Yeah, exactly.
Keeping it real.
Don't be afraid, guys. You know, we're not gonna be offended.
Down and dirty.
Okay, so let's throw one out there. We'll eat anything.
Hey, well,
Yeah.
We'll eat
that is
anything.
true. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We'll eat
Exactly.
anything.
money-wise, they're cheap, and also like they, not just cheap, but like they're stingy cheap. Like money is very, very highly. Regarded.
That's interesting because that is true for most of the people I know who are Chinese, and it doesn't matter if they're wealthy or if they're not. They just like to be, like, a good way to say it is they're thrifty.
Also thrifty,
like
but
to
also
save money.
save. Yeah, not just cheap, but also to save money.
Right. I have a stereotype about Chinese, from Chinese,
Okay.
is that we think we hate each other.
That
Wait,
oh
so
my
you guys
God.
hate each other?
Yeah, like
Chinese
Chinese people hate each other.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Why is that?
All right.
Because it's true.
I
I
can
don't know
explain.
why. I'm not sure why either, but like I feel like we often have internal conflicts sometimes. It's like not intentional, but it's like say we're in another country and we're like all students, and it's like we have the most intense conflicts within ourselves rather than with other students.
I think in general, the different regions of China dislike each other. Like the south and north have some conflicts, and then also there's something to do with the northeast. Then you got the rural area like Fujian. Like a lot of Chinese people have stereotypes against Fujian. They're all like, usually a farming community. So there are a lot of that. And there are instances where if you marry someone, if you're like from Beijing in a well-to-do family, if you marry someone from like the
Somewhere
country,
else, anywhere else,
Yeah.
Anywhere else.
they're not happy.
you're gonna get disowned.
And same thing with Shanghai. Yeah.
I thought Chinese people were okay with like marrying different kinds of people, like white people, like Spanish people.
Oh,
Because Koreans, normally Koreans like to marry Koreans. I thought Chinese people like to it doesn't matter for
no. Our parents, we are okay. This generation, I feel like, but our
Yeah.
parents are very, very not okay
They're
with anything.
rigid.
I want to bring up another one.
Okay.
There is stereotypes against Chinese people that all Chinese people want to get out,
Or want to leave
want to leave
China.
the country, and
Okay.
so like the girls will always try to marry. Basically, like some people joke like, I go to China and flash my passport, I can get a wife.
And I think that back in the day that was true to a certain extent, and now I feel like that's less and less true. I just know more and more people who want to stay, like in their own home country, and rather than leave and marry like a foreigner.
Or like they'll come here and then they'll actually go back after they get done with their
So,
education.
but it is true that everyone wants to come out for an education. Like
Yeah.
that's almost entirely true. That
Yeah.
if they can, they'll come out to do university and even work a couple years, and maybe they'll get married here. Like who knows?
I think they're like very loud, like especially like on the train. I would hear them like talking on the phone, just having a full-on conversation in Chinese. I'd be like, and they wouldn't even realize. They're just like, that's how they talk.
Yeah.
So I think
That's based on truth.
And
Because even the other night, like we went to eat, and I told Mike, I was like we're talking normal volume, and like every other table, it doesn't matter if you're. It's just like I
have to be
can literally
prepared.
like I can't even hear myself talk. We're not even at a club.
Dude, I think this goes. I'll take it a step further. I think there's now a stereotype about Chinese people, which I think it's not obviously stereotype's not completely true to applies to everybody, but in this case, Chinese people are uncivilized. Like when they just come to another country, they're kind of uncivilized. They're like tourists, especially. They pee on trains and other public forms of transportation.
They graffiti, they mess up
Pee
public
everywhere.
property.
Yeah,
Then they poop somewhere.
we're not
They
so
basically
proud
just
of
pee and
this.
poo everywhere.
Now, it's impossible to not think of that stereotype when you think of Chinese tourists, because of course it doesn't apply to everybody, and I've seen many like very good tourists from China, but because the ones that act so badly, like now, like our name is forever tainted.
It's literally like you can be normal, then one person just literally, pees on a plane.
And then
you're gonna remember peeing on a plane.
No, that's huge. I just read that like a grandma let the granddaughter pee on the floor of the plane, and I was like, why would you let her do that? Woman,
Hey,
we
because
have.
it's convenient and the bathrooms are too small.
Dude,
Understand the women.
No, our reputation is at stake. Could you please stop?
Okay, let's talk a little about Korean stereotypes. What do you guys feel like are specific Korean stereotypes that people have against Koreans?
Well, I have one about Korean girls. A lot of guys say that Korean girls go after the money and they look at cars. Like the car's number one. They say when they go on a date with a girl, like the first thing that she looks at is the car.
Really?
That happened actually. I went on a date with this guy, and he lied about what car he drove.
You got mad.
He's like, I'm driving a Benz. Oh, this is my brother's car. This and that. And then later on, he's like, oh, I was just kidding. I just heard Korean girls like money and cars. I'm like, no, like bye. Like that's and he was Korean himself, so I guess like he went through a lot of Koreans have stereotypes against their own people. Yeah. So I guess it's true that like Korean girls like money and like cars. And
Was it
stuff.
true? Do you think there's something for that?
I don't think it's true. No, not
At all?
I mean, to an extent, yeah, Korean girls do look at the cars and like the money, but not every Korean girl. Yeah.
So let me ask you, if I just sell my house and I buy a Benz and to go after a Korean girl, I have no house now. I can't really take you out for dinner, but I have a Benz.
She'll be interested.
Yeah, you just eat in your car, man.
What are we eating?
dash down.
Are we eating Popeyes? Like, what are we eating
No,
exactly?
Popeyes is good.
You got a
Do not
Benz,
hate
bro.
on Popeyes. No.
So like when a Korean guy like asks you out, he like flips his BMW keychain.
Yeah, like really like just like on the side. Oh, I dropped my car keys.
No, that reminds me of an episode of Friends where Joe was pretending he has a Porsche.
Like, he's wearing all the Porsche.
Oh my god, he's just walking the Porsche.
So guys, you heard it from these two ladies here. If you want to go to Koreatown, just dress up in
Get a nice
Porsche
car.
gear.
Yep.
And just at least pretend you have a nice car.
Just
Say
pretend.
it's like in a garage.
Borrow it from someone. Like,
Well,
hey, your sisters.
I almost feel like though you can dress in all Porsche gear because from what I hear, like Korean girls, well, from my experience, Korean girls are very fashionable mostly, and they expect their men to be well dressed too. So you can't be showing up in a very tacky.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Tacky.
And that is true. They care about brands, like LV bags.
You guys
It's
care
all
about brands.
Especially the Korean girls, it's all about brands.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I would
But
say
it's not
by
like all
Chinese.
Korean girls.
I think that's true for
mostly-
Chinese
Yeah,
girls
most.
too.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's because of the new wealth phenomenon. We've been poor for so long as a country, like that people really have never had like luxury items before. So like it's like a real big thing.
I
Like,
think
they
it's
really
I think
want
it's
them.
just to show off.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but that's
prove
what it stems
themselves
from,
because-
right? To show that hey, we.
Because for
made it
so
from-
long you couldn't show off anything.
Exactly.
So Korean girls will want guys to dress nicely.
Yeah.
So if I show up on a date dressed like a hobo like I do every day,
Well, no, you're not just like a hobo. You're just dressed normally.
all I ever
Like a
wear is
dude.
like a t-shirt.
Yeah,
and
that's
jeans.
just that's 95%.
So that
of guys.
wouldn't work for Korean
I
girls.
mean, unless like she really liked you and you have like
Oh, wow.
banging personality.
Oh my god.
What we just discussed is very true, like as in the fashion, I think the guy being fashionable is being desirable. And I don't think that quite applies to Chinese couples. As in, I see a lot of Chinese couples where the guy just looks alright. Like he doesn't seem to have put a lot of effort in his dress. But the girl would often be
Wait,
real
let
fashionable.
me ask you. There's different types of Chinese people. There are people who are more just from the mainland.
I feel like across the board.
and they usually dress kind of.
Right. They
Unique.
definitely don't
Unique.
care. Like,
All right, so are you talking about those people, or are you talking about ABC Chinese?
I think
I'm
across
talking
the
about,
board.
yeah, me too. I just think that almost all Chinese couples I meet, whether they're Asian American or they're just from like they're new immigrants or something, I find that the guy he can dress like whatever he wants. Like, and what I mean is like
Really?
he could be
Yeah.
he could be casual, he could be tacky, or he could be sporty. But the girl could be very
I
fashionable.
definitely agree with
And
that.
the girls wouldn't mind
They-
if
they
the
wouldn't
guy
mind.
They don't mind.
They
But
wouldn't
you guys think Korean girls definitely will mind.
Korean girls, yeah, they do.
Yeah, I almost never hear like a Chinese friend of mine who's a girl complain ever about a guy's style. It's more they look at other things.
They look
a lot
at
of
personality.
They have other
personality,
things.
your background, all that
Background,
stuff.
education.
Never, like they never said
If
anything like.
you're well educated and you have a nice job, like it just doesn't matter if you don't dress that well, you know? Because those are things that, those are superficial things that they feel like if they wanted to fix, they could.
Right.
Those are not like the must make or break situations.
Yeah.
So
So I
that's
guess Koreans have really high expectations. I just realized that.
It's all the K-pop.
But I think it's
Korean drama.
I really think it's the Korean drama and everything.
I
where
agree with you.
The guys, like and I think that in general they know how to dress better in general. Like they've been doing it for longer and they have K-pop, K-dramas, and all these
It's kind of
inspirations.
like part of the culture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now we're moving into what Chinese people have stereotypes about Koreans. So for me, I think that like all Korean dudes are just like they can dance, they dress nice, they got nice haircuts.
Like a typical K-pop style.
Typical like okay, like this is gonna sound bad. Like if I see a Korean dude in Flushing, let's say, I don't know he's Korean, but he's got really nice hair, and I could be wrong, but my stereotype is he's fashionable, the latest fashions, the hair. I'm like, that's just probably Korean. And then right off the bat, I go, you know what? They can probably dance, and they got some swag or whatever.
I think K-pop really got
do
that.
flips.
Six-pack.
Yeah.
No.
But I almost never go, oh, that dude's definitely Chinese.
But I think you have a different type of stereotype against Koreans.
Okay.
Because I mean, we went to K-Con together, and you were very off in the Korean stereotype stuff.
Yeah, I don't even remember actually.
Because you don't meet enough Koreans.
I don't.
And you don't watch K-drama that much. You
I
don't
don't.
watch K-pop.
I don't.
So you see like 2 videos, and all of a sudden in your head,
Yeah,
like every Korean guy is like got 7.
K-pop.
No, that's what I think.
But guys like that are very rare to find.
Really?
Surprisingly, I've honestly never encountered maybe like one the
Okay.
most, but most guys are very like casual, laid back, and
Definitely
not
not
the
like the
crazy hair, the orange, the eyeliner and stuff.
Yeah.
It's more of like a K-pop thing. And
So the Korean guys don't wear eyeliner in
No.
their daily lives.
That's like something they do in the K-pop when they're about to like perform or
Yeah.
something. But I did hear in Korea, Korean guys wear like BB cream. So that's like no BB cream. That's like makeup,
tell them to make it white.
and they do their
Gang
eyebrows.
wears makeup.
You're wearing makeup right now, right?
No, he's just naturally like
Well, let me bring up something else. You brought up the looks. Let me talk about looks for a second. Because I think, in general, if you walk around Chinatown and you're like good-looking Chinese person, Chinese people think you're Korean.
So Korean is kind of like that staple of if you look good, then you're Korean.
Yeah,
If
it's
your hair's
kinda,
nice,
right. I
you're
mean,
Korean.
is that true for the female side?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and I especially notice. I think it happens less and less these days because I feel like for a long time, like Chinese girls didn't know how to make themselves up, and now they know how to, and they're gradually developing their own style. But before, when there was a time where we just didn't know anything, like because we were just less developed in that area, if you were really well dressed and well presented, your makeup was fully done, like 100%. If you went out, they will ask you, are you Korean? Are you Japanese? Like, but
They
more
wouldn't
often
think you're
Korean-
Chinese. That's the thing.
No, because they don't expect you to look like that for
Yeah.
some reason. And I know that sounds really mean, but that was just the way it was. And these days now, like I can feel like that's changing. But in the past, 100% true. Like since I was like very little and went to school in China, this even happens within China where they would be like, "Oh, are you Korean? Are you this
Yeah.
or that?" To serve me or serve my friends, and then we'd be like, "No."
Well, where you used to live, we dropped off our dry cleaning. Well, that's another stereotype. Actually, I get that. Okay. So we dropped off our dry cleaning, right? And the lady that owned it, she's Korean. She literally thought Yi and I, like she was like, she literally went like, "You're not Korean?" Like I was like, "No, we're Chinese." She was like, I swear, like every time we go in now, she's like, "Seriously, you're not Korean?" And we're like, "Yo, do
Nope.
Chinese people really that?" I'm just thinking, she's a really nice lady. I'm just like, for her to have that reaction, I kid you, I'm just like, oh, there's definitely some stereotypes there.
Yeah, I got another stereotype Chinese have against Koreans is that we feel Koreans hate Chinese people.
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, is it Chinese guys or Chinese people
Chinese
in general?
people in general.
in general.
And also, as a guy, we feel like Korean girls will only date other Korean guys
Yeah.
and white guys, but they don't prefer like
Asian
they won't
guys. Chinese
never
guys.
date a Chinese guy.
Yeah.
I feel like Korean girls like to stick with their own people, like own kind. But that's like, yeah, or they would like to date like a white guy.
A white guy,
a
yeah.
white guy.
So that is true.
Well, I feel like it's changing now, but the reason it is a stereotype because I feel like because we're older than these
Yeah,
three,
yeah,
right?
right.
By a good margin. So when we're growing up, I do feel like you were saying in the past, Chinese girls, no matter what, they just don't look, they don't have the fashion sense. But now it's changing. I feel like
No,
now
I
it's
don't think
changing.
this has changed. I think this is still going strong.
Well, yeah.
Well, let them. What do you
Yeah.
guys think?
Well, I was gonna say I agree. I do like Koreans want to stick with their people, also because you want to stick with it's family oriented. Like when you bring them home, us like
So you
my
don't get in
parents.
trouble with your parents.
Yeah, you guys have like the same
That's
culture.
no.
Well, let me ask you guys: if you brought a Chinese guy home, Would your parents be upset?
No,
They wouldn't be upset. They wouldn't be upset, but they would rather prefer
Right.
if it was a Korean guy.
Well, that's understandable because, like, you know, for us, it's obviously if you bring somebody of your own ethnicity home, it's easier for the parents, right? Because then they can
Yeah,
speak.
exactly.
I guess what I'm
that's the
asking,
main reason.
I guess what I'm asking is the stigma. Like, don't date Asian guys? They're like, oh, they're not as cool. Like, is there still that stigma or not so much?
Don't date Chinese guys.
Don't date Chinese guys,
The thing
yeah.
is that when I was younger, there was a stigma, maybe because of where I grew up,
Okay.
and it was a Spanish neighborhood / white neighborhood.
In Queens, you're
And
talking
in
about,
Queens,
New York.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, they would look at the Asian guys and they wouldn't pay much interest to it
Okay.
because the Asian guys would always literally,
Play video games or study.
and they never kind of like got into the social aspect of whatever was going on. But as like high school and especially in college, it's completely different. In college, I feel like everybody's more open, everything's more diverse, and it's not just that stereotypical like, oh, ew, Asians,
I have to respond to what Mike said about Koreans hating Chinese people.
Yeah.
I never experienced that. I feel like some Koreans, this is my personal feeling, that sometimes they felt superior to us.
Oh yeah, they feel superior to us.
felt superior to
Superior to
Yeah,
us,
that's a
because
stereotype
they're
too.
more developed.
Yeah, I agree with that.
They're more developed.
More
I don't know.
cultured,
More
or like
cultured, whatever.
the higher
They're more
class of
civilized.
Asians.
Some of my best friends, like actual best friends, were Koreans. I went to a boarding school, and we only had Chinese and Koreans that went to the school, and so half of my friends are Chinese, half of my friends are Korean. So we all got along real well.
Are there stereotypes that you guys have particularly against Chinese people? Or about Chinese people?
I think when it comes down to the food aspect, my dad always tells me like that Chinese food is very unhealthy, like it's bad, and just to stick with like the Korean food.
Really?
My
How
mom,
dare you, Dad?
like I love Chinese food, you guys, so don't say anything.
No,
to
but
me,
I heard that, yeah.
Yeah, my mom, she's not really like picky with her food, but my dad, especially him, if I bring home a Chinese dish, he wouldn't eat it. He wouldn't eat it.
Wouldn't eat it?
Eat it.
Well,
It would
probably
just
because you
like,
brought,
even though it's
yo, I
really
just
good.
met you, but you eat some horrible Chinese food.
Well, no,
like
that's
you eat
important.
some fried chow mein. Like you eat some.
It's good.
No, it's not.
It
But
is
that's-
good.
Take out
Chinese food,
It
it's
satisfies my stomach. And
But
Can
that's-
you please bring your dad home an authentic Chinese dish?
But that's what's the deal here, right? Because like I feel like growing up, all right, you could easily find an authentic Korean restaurant, Japanese restaurant where people that work there, they're not Chinese, they're Korean, Japanese, they barely speak English, and they're serving you what you guys would eat at home, right?
Yeah.
But for us, like my mom's home cooked meal is very different from takeout. It's very different from if I went to like Mike's dad's restaurant or our friend Cheryl's mom's restaurant, because they're gearing it towards what the stigma is, what Westerners
Westerners
like.
yeah.
And we don't even eat that stuff.
yeah,
you
so
know?
you guys don't eat
We-
just
they eat that
chicken,
stuff.
no,
You guys-
lo mein.
Yeah, you guys know we don't eat any of that. You guys.
General Gal, we don't eat that, but
Like,
most people don't know
it
that.
hurts me.
Yeah, that's
It
more of
hurts
like
me.
an American thing, I guess.
That's why Mike does Strictly Dumpling.
Yeah,
that's
I
why
try to
we
help
take
you
people
guys
out.
eat better Chinese food.
Yeah, so finally now it's changing.
Traditional Chinese cuisine is extremely focused on health, like this is what the emperor ate, and all of the hot cuisine that Chinese people developed in the ancient times was based on what the emperor ate. And obviously, if they serve the emperor something bad, he's gonna die young,
Like
and they don't
orange
want that to
chicken, it's gonna
happen.
be like-
No, so everything. Traditionally, it was like very healthy things, but as time progressed, things got a little bit like
Yeah,
and things,
Americanized.
and then now
I
it
guess
became
that-
more and more healthy.
I guess when like people think of Chinese food, they just automatically think of like Chinese takeout.
Yeah, exactly.
Because-
Because that's what's out there.
And also, I was gonna say, I used to work at a Chinese takeout restaurant, and they serve like General Tso chicken, chop, like the typical Chinese
Yeah.
dishes. But for dinner and lunch, he would make a whole separate dish. That's
Oh, yeah,
not,
yeah.
It's not even on the menu. It's
yeah,
like
it's completely different.
We don't
It's like
eat takeout.
vegetables.
Yeah.
We don't eat that whatever we
No,
cook.
no,
Exactly,
no.
exactly.
Because the things that you can get from a Korean restaurant or like a Korean takeout spot like kimbap, tteokbokki, stuff like that.
Yeah.
We make that at home.
Yeah.
So when I eat that, it's things that I would eat at home and something that
Yeah.
my mom would make.
Yeah.
And it's very very homey when I eat it, even when it's from a store outside.
We don't make General Tso's chicken at home.
Yeah.
Or fortune
I
cookies.
never knew that. I really thought that like General Tso chicken was a Chinese dish.
No, he's a
And,
friend of
like,
mine.
homemade.
General Tso's a friend of mine.
Oh yeah? Can you meet him?
Yeah.
You're an imaginary friend, Mike.
He's also a friend of my other friend, Colonel Sanders.
Is he here with us now?
Anything else, guys?
Yeah, I mean, I got like a kind of, this is like a lighthearted one, but for example, like the businesses that are immigrant families owns, like Chinese people is always a restaurant and it's always takeout, like Americanized Chinese food.
Or buffet.
Or
buffet,
like a 99
yeah.
cent store.
And what?
A 99 cent
No,
store.
we don't open 99 cent
No, but
stores.
see, that's not my I didn't think that they.
I think
did
that's
it.
like Indian people. That's a stereotype.
I mean, maybe they.
That's what Russell Peters says.
Right.
Indian people open 99 cent stores.
Chinese people open Chinese
Chinese people
restaurants.
open restaurants. Koreans open laundromats, right?
Yeah. No, dry cleaning.
Dry cleaning.
That's
yeah.
my stereotype is like every dry cleaner
It's by
or convenient like
Diner. No, not diner.
Convenience store.
like a
deli.
Delis.
Yeah.
Delis.
It's
And
Korean
hey,
owned.
say what you want, but Koreans run some great delis.
No,
Without
no.
them, those I would
we're
have
not
no place
knocking
to
it.
eat.
Yeah. We're not knocking it, but I'm just like that's my. I walk in,
I'm gonna own up to the Chinese restaurant thing. The Chinese people, you either own a takeout or like a buffet.
Yeah.
We own a buffet. And that restaurant name will include one of the following words: dragon,
Yep.
bamboo, panda,
Luck.
golden, luck,
Yeah.
walk.
I love it. I think one of these days you need to treat your dad to an actual authentic
Yeah.
Chinese
So me
cheese
never had a
opinion.
You gotta bring your dad to the Chinese
Yeah.
restaurant.
Well, they're gonna go with me on a shoot at a Chinese restaurant.
Nice.
So Christine's gonna be Christine's first
My
time.
first time. I can't wait to try it.
So,
You're gonna love it.
so I'm gonna introduce them to some good Chinese food so we can kind of change their families' minds. Okay, let me bring up something. This is the reason why I think Koreans don't like Chinese people.
Okay.
Every time I go to a Korean cafe
Yeah.
or grocery store,
Right.
they think I'm Korean.
Right.
And they're like, 안녕하세요. I'm like, oh, hi. And they know right away I'm not Korean.
Yeah.
Then I feel like they get disappointed. Then I feel like I can literally see their face go, 안녕하세요. Hello. I mean, to me, I'm like, I'm sorry to disappoint you.
One of the first stereotypes we talked about is Chinese people. People think they're rude, and a lot of them are rude and uncivilized because, and Mike and I talk about this all the time, because there was a time in China, mainland China, during the Cultural Revolution where a lot of the traditional values, civil obedience, were literally destroyed. So that's not a knock on the people, it's just that's how history was. So like, for example, when they're disappointed, it's probably because Chinese people came in there and they were really rude to them. Dude, we see it here, we see it.
Koreans would not be
You know?
rude to people for no reason. They would not do that. Okay?
Yeah,
They
like
would never.
people never think that. How come like Japanese people are always thought to be the most respectful and obedient, even though we're East Asians, we're very similar. Like the
We're
language.
similar, yeah.
Like with Koreans, you always have to be respectful, like especially to elder people. Like you always have to like bow down or like, that's like a must. But
Even when you eat,
yeah.
I'll just eat first.
Or like when you pour them a drink, you use 2 hands. It's like a manner thing.
Like China had that as well before the Cultural Revolution, and that's actually my great grandmother taught a lot of that to my grandmother, and who taught my mother, who taught me.
Yeah.
But I can feel like that was diluted each generation, and especially
100%.
it got pretty much destroyed during the Cultural Revolution, where all of because China used to be known as the Yijibang, like the home of of manners or something like that, and customs. But then after that happened, we just kind of lost a lot of it, and then now kids my age and then even my parents' age, they didn't grow up with it, and so all the things that the Koreans and Japanese were able to preserve, we don't have it anymore, and so that's why there's that contrast there, So of course, when we talk about these stereotypes, it's not meant to it's not meant to be negative towards the Chinese people. We're trying to examine, or Koreans, obviously, but it's just trying to examine differences and why it's like this,
I thought this was really interesting. This is the first time we had Koreans on our show, actually.
Well, because they don't like us. No, because Mike and I
Keep
been
asking,
asking,
and they never come on, and finally you guys came on, and we get 2 of you. That's awesome.
because we bribed them with food.
And now they want us to take them out for those chicken.
I have to try that
chow mein.
restaurant though.
Yo, you might be the first family, your dad tastes like real Chinese food. It's like, go marry a Chinese dude. I want this all the time.
Bring me home Chinese food.
Wait.
Guys, just get a Chinese guy.
All right, well, thank you guys so much for coming on the show discussing this, and I thought it was really interesting. Hopefully you guys did as well. And thank you, PRESSO Cafe, for letting us use their space to film here. We love this cafe so much. Check them out in Flushing. We're here all the time, so love this place. Thank you all so much for watching. See ya.